Let's go!
Well, good morning, good afternoon. Cody, I never know what to say. Is it good morning, good afternoon? Well, we came on late, so it's good afternoon, Midweek Motivation family. We've got some special guests with us today, but before we get to them, we want to thank all you guys for coming out to Candyland on the Mountain last night, or if you watched our kind of attempt at going live. I think we will be better in the future because we learned from our mistakes, I think. Did we, Darren? Darren's right off screen here producing for us today. Do we still have time to get in the candy corn guess? How do they get on that?
I don't think they can time.
Oh.
They can guess and comments.
Yeah. Take a guess in the comments of how many pieces of candy corn are in our jar. We also voted last night for the best spot on the Candyland map. We'll be giving away our sweet little trophy to the volunteers who did that. Anything else, Cody? What am I forgetting? Like, share, subscribe. Yeah, all that kind of cool stuff. The stuff that Carly remembers that we never have to do. We're missing Carly right now. He's on vacation, much needed, much deserved vacation. He should be back next week, hopefully, unless he just decides to stay where he's at and not come back. Don't do that, Carly. I don't know if the show will survive without you. But let's go ahead and introduce some friends of ours. These guys are... I've known them for a while. They're basically like family to me, and they are family to Cody. So, one way or another. So let's just have you guys introduce yourselves real quick. I'm Dave Spangler.
Rhonda Spangler.
Renee Slesser.
And these guys own and run the Children's Nest, 2 locations, one in Botetourt in Blue Ridge, and the other one is
Hollins.
In the Hollins area. That, you know, we'll get into all that, but you guys are dealing with a lot of stuff rebuilding in the Hollins location, and then had to deal with what we're getting ready to talk about. Mm-hmm. So let's get right into it. So why don't you guys just go ahead and tell us the story about what happened a couple weeks ago?
So on October 10th, I was middle of the day, running my normal midday nap time, running to the bank, grabbing lunch, heading back. I had left the center, and maybe 10 minutes after I had left, my phone rang. It was my assistant director. I answered. I could tell the panic in her voice, and she got out the words, "Car in building in infant room." And I, of course, was just like, all of things just started running through my mind. And at first I'm like, all right, it's the middle of the day, like DoorDash guys forgot to put it in park and they bumped the building, or, you know, something very like minor in my head, I'm thinking. So I rushed back down 460. I had pulled in right after, I think the second police officer had pulled in. And when I turned the corner to see that there was an actual car, like, in the middle of our building, more or less. Like when you look at our building, it's like the front row of the building is classrooms, and then we have a hallway in the middle, and then there's a back row of classrooms, and the car was all the way to the hallway, so in the middle of our building. And like they said, we went right through our infant door, window door of the front of the building, and immediately when I turned the corner, I was praying the whole way there, but when I got there to see like what I was actually seeing, I was just like, please, 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 all these babies be okay, my teacher be okay. Mom mode was first for me because my baby was in that room, but then of course I went into director mode. As soon as I saw him, he was good. I was like, director mode, where's all the babies? They're all here, 5 of them, good. Where's my teacher? And then they were like, she's still inside, she's responsive, you know, all the things. Fire rescue was there pretty quickly, and they handled it awesome. They helped us because our brains were scattered, but they helped us like, all right, we have to do this, we have to do this, we need to do this, we need to, and they were awesome at getting our minds to like calm down and just get the right things in motion. It was first, you know, obviously taking care of who needed care, and then getting to the phone, like our emergency book to get to the parents, to get their kids, to all those pieces. That was just crazy. But yeah.
Just to put it in perspective a little bit, Renee is the director at the Blue Ridge location, and Dave and Rhonda own both locations. And it's actually Cody's wife who's the director at the Hollins location.
And my kids go to the
To the Blue Ridge location.
Yeah.
Darren, do we have the pictures available? Give us just a minute. We're going to throw some pictures up on the screen so you guys can kind of see what we're talking about here, about what happened. So, Rhonda, were you at the location when it happened?
No, I was actually at our Hollins location where we're doing our expansion there and building a new building. But I was in the parking lot. I had just pulled up. Travis, which is Renee's husband, my son-in-law, that works for us as well, he was at Hollins with me. He was sitting in his truck. We were getting ready to do something there, and my phone rang. I just pulled in, my phone rang, and it was actually Renee. And, you know, all I heard was, Mom, you need to get, where are you at? You need to get to Blue Ridge. Somebody's ran through the infant room. So I
here's some pictures up. This
jumped out of the car, and
kind of explain what this picture is, guys. This is the one that really got me.
Well, you see that?
Go back to that picture, Dad.
All right, and this one here is from the hallway, looking in from the hallway, looking out towards the front of the building, and it's boarded off. The fire department actually boarded that off for us.
So where we see the boards, like right in the middle, is where the car came through.
Correct. The car came through there, and the front of the car was actually towards the bottom of your screen there, coming all the way through and into the hallway. The timber that you see, the truss, or the board that you see there, is actually the interior wall stud that was left. It's actually broken at the base. You can't tell that from the picture, but it was snapped from the floor, dangling. And then the car continued on across the hall, just slightly across the hall, and into the wall of the interior wall of the next classroom.
I think we have that picture in there somewhere, but we'll just, that's the car, what it looked like when it came through. Keep going to the next one, Darren. Maybe.
He's on a delay if he's over there, maybe.
Oh.
Well, that's the fire department and the
Pulling the car out.
service pulling the car out.
So I pulled up, I think it was within 20 minutes of y'all first getting that.
Oh, this is the picture right here that really got me, because you can see.
That's from our internal camera looking down.
So what I see is a jumper here.
Yeah.
And what looks like to be maybe a little bit of a playpen up in the corner next to the jumper. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
Correct. Now, were there kids in that?
There was not. There were, in this picture on the bottom right corner, that's a wall area. That's where 4 children were. They were all in swings and a bouncer. So I think it explains they're all strapped into a seat rather than, like you said, that play area. They could be freely laying in that. We actually have it's not there, but there was a changing table that was.
That's a picture of the hallway coming from the end of the hallway, looking back towards that classroom. You can see on the left, that's where the car came from, and you can see on the right where the car ended up.
Wow.
Coming all the way through and touching the wall and looking through the door on the other side.
Wow.
Yeah, in the picture before, that was 4 seconds into it. So what you see there was the remnants of 4 seconds later. And I had the opportunity to jog through this whole thing. And literally from the time of impact to the time it actually went to that interior wall we just saw was about 1.4 seconds.
Wow.
It's amazing how fast. I mean, you just can't even slow it down to see it happen. It's just, it happens, and it's a flash.
Well, you always hear the thing, life can change in a split second.
Absolutely.
And that really puts it into perspective.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that could have been 10 lives changed, or more than that.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Well, that's that's one thing that we want to make sure that we emphasize is, not just when this happened, but just, even minutes, 10 minutes before, all the scenarios that took place that we went back and watched on our video cameras is, where our teacher took children from and placed them and put them and sat them instead of being in the places they were just 10 minutes before, 5 minutes before, or even literally 3 minutes before. She had a baby
On that
changing
change
her on the
table.
changing table,
Yeah.
where the total impact hit, and she put her over on that far wall on the floor and strapped her in and came back to the table. Just a miracle that
Wow.
Dozens
that
of
took
miracles.
place before. Just miracle after miracle as we've watched this. I can't even count them. I can't even count how many that took place within literally a 10-minute, 15-minute time frame. From after the impact, all of our employees, going to work, and God did that. He helped those young women react. Nothing that they've ever been trained for. You can't train for something like this.
Yeah.
Even our EMS and fire and all of the people that were there that day, the Botetourt people, Troutville people, Blue Ridge, they were amazing. But even they stated, we can't train for things like this.
Yeah.
Things that can happen in a half a second or a quarter of a second that are so tragic. Only one person, one thing, one being can do that, it's God.
Yeah.
He handled this whole situation.
Yeah.
From
So we've gone back and analyzed. We've watched we've got footage of everything. And Ron and I, the very night, we were able to.
Let's get back to that in just a minute. Let's Rhonda, kind of finish up what you were saying. You were at the Hollins location, and you got the call from from Renee, and kind of tell us a little more about that, like what was going through your head. And
Well, the same as Renee, when she got called, I knew something was wrong.
Yeah.
Just from her voice, her screams, "Mom, you need to get there." And I think
And I wasn't there yet. I could
she
tell
wasn't
from
there
their
either.
voice
So neither one of
something,
us really knew. I probably did, I don't know how many donuts to get out of the parking lot. Even my workers there, the people that are the contractors were on site, doing whatever. They were on heavy equipment. They were there. They knew at that moment something wasn't right because of my response and how I reacted. Because it couldn't have been fast enough to get there. I prayed the whole way, not knowing what I was going to pull up to either. And, when I pulled up, I was like, I couldn't believe what I saw, and I ran over to the opening. Of course, they wouldn't let me enter yet. The EMS and fire were already there. But I immediately, like Renee, I found her and found where all the babies were, and made sure that they were safe. And, when I first pulled up, though, my teacher still had not been taken out. She was still in there, sort of pinned up underneath of the front of the car and a wall. And she started yelling for me. And I couldn't help her. But all I could do was yell and tell her, everything is going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And I just started praying, for God to just make her be okay. And she was a miracle. That she's a miracle today, that she is still here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Sure.
so, Dave, I kind of know where you were.
Yeah.
Just to let y'all know, Dave is a man of many jackets. These guys also own a pool, the daycare, and Dave also works part-time for the company that me and my wife run. And I actually got a call from Dave, so kind of tell me about your story a little bit.
Well, I was talking with the branch manager, and a phone call came up. It was from my son, and you have that little button on your phone. You can say, hey, I'll call you back. I'm in a meeting or something. I'll call you back in just a minute. And immediately he texted me, and he said, Dad, call back, emergency. It was just kind of a quick response. And so I told the manager, I said, well, let me step outside here and take this phone call. So I stepped out, and immediately, like Dave said, you could tell in the voice that there's something really wrong here. And he said there's been a car that's gone through the daycare. It's entered to the infant room. I don't know any other details other than that. I'm on my way right now. Is it possible that you can get there? And I said, I don't know, but I'm going to find out real quick. So I hung up with him, gave you a call, and you know, you're in the whole time I'm talking with you on the phone, there's thousands of things flying through your mind. And I know that my grandson is in that room, and I know that there are other children in that room, and I know that the impact of this whole thing could be catastrophic, and we could be talking about deaths, children injured for life, and so all that's just kind of raging. And you guys were able to work it out for me, and so I left where I was at in Bedford and drove what normally would be a 25-minute drive. I followed a fire department truck and stayed close on his bumper and got there in about 14 minutes.
Well, my thought when
you know,
Rhonda was talking, I'm like, okay, not only does you guys own the Children's Nest, her grandson's in there, her
Yeah.
daughter is running the place.
Right.
And when she said, when I got there and the EMS were already there, it kind of surprised me because I thought maybe that grandma mom mode would kick in and you would have been there even before that they were there.
Yeah.
So it kind of surprised me a little
So
bit.
I get there, and the streets are blocked off. There's fire trucks. There's police everywhere. I mean, state police, county police, everywhere. And I just park at the food line right there on 460 on a little side lot and just run up through the woods and across and run down. And when I come around, my eyes I just couldn't believe it. I just there was no car visible. You couldn't see it from the outside. It was all the way in. And so then I start looking for faces. You know, I'm seeing my daughter's face. I'm seeing my wife's face. I'm seeing, other people there, and I'm kind of trying to read their face. You know, what am I facing here? What's going on here? And you start to realize that even though there's this event going on, there is this little feeling of calmness. It's almost like they're calmly taking care of business. And that was kind of reassuring at first. I'm thinking, okay, with this, I know this is bad, but they don't have that look of distraught.
Right.
They're in business mode. And so that was a little bit reassuring. I started asking a few questions. I didn't bother them. I grabbed my grandson. And I was holding him, and I started asking questions, and then that's when I was finding out, exactly what had happened, who was involved, who was injured, how bad were those injuries, and so on. By the time I got there, which, like I say, was probably 14 or 15 minutes after my phone call, a lot had happened.
Right.
The two victims that were immediate victims, as far as the adult victims, had been taken to the hospital. The two children that were involved had been taken to the hospital. So that part of it was already gone. That's probably why the calmness that I witnessed when I got there was in place. But there's still a lot of things going on. Parents coming in and wanting to get their children and stuff. And so you see that panic, and you try to reassure them that things are all right. But I just kept going back to that whole thing that I just can't believe we don't have a fatality here.
Yeah. So you guys, each one of you guys have mentioned there was so many miracles in that situation. Let's kind of dig into that a little bit. So, Renee, how many students and teachers were in the building at that time?
Students we had was 57 in the building, and then we had 7 teachers in the classrooms. 3 were actually taking lunch break.
Okay.
And they were there. That was another, sometimes they run out to grab food. One had just gotten back from, I think, Subway, getting her lunch, and was in the middle of eating when she was sitting in her car in the parking lot. When she eating, not even paying attention, heard it, jumped
Just
out,
witnessed it all happen.
looked back, saw the hole in the front of the building, took off running. Like she was a first responder. And then 2 other girls that were in our break room came right out the front door. They ran in first. Just kind of like having those extra people there that were able to assist versus being in classrooms where they were evacuating kids.
Yeah, and leaving the kids.
And this-
And all of, those that they were.
And this car came into the infant room, correct? So these are babies,
Yeah.
little babies.
Yeah.
And how many babies were in that room?
5 that day.
Wow. And how many injuries did we have?
4.
4, the 2 adults and 2 children.
And nothing other than the teacher. There was nothing
Right.
serious.
The one child had a bruised liver, must have been from something landing or hitting something. The that resolved within 2 weeks. I think she had a follow-up, and she's back to normal range and all the liver counts and stuff. And then a brain bleed for one of the children, and she was checked out. I think it might have even been less than a week, and that was resolved.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about the teacher a little bit. What happened to the teacher that was in the room?
Well, Marcy was actually doing her job as she always does, just perfect. She was changing a diaper, put the child in the seat, and came back to clean and sanitize the changing table as they're supposed to. As she was doing that, she was wiping her hands off and with a paper towel, and was going to toss it in a trash, which we have foot pedal trash cans. As she was doing that, and finished doing that right at the door and window of the front of the building, where the car actually ended up impacting, she was standing there and got the full impact of the car as it was hitting the building. She was driven about probably 25 or so feet into the building through a couple of walls. Actually took down an interior wall that was in our infant room that sections it off into two areas, and that wall was taken out. And then she ended up on tons of debris, baby beds, cribs, rockers, all kinds of things that the car just plowed through, and was sort of pinned and wedged up underneath of the front edge of the car.
Wow.
Trying to get herself out. Our staff could not, and probably, again, a miracle.
Another miracle, yeah.
That they couldn't, because she actually had her main artery in her leg was severed. And she, maybe just the way she was pinned there, it kept it closed, whatever. The miracle that they couldn't do it in EMS, and the fire and rescue got her out.
Right.
And they're trained for that kind of stuff. So I do believe that, again, another miracle. As she did have to be rushed to the hospital, she had to undergo a surgery right away because of the injury of the artery. And then she underwent 3 to 4 surgeries within a week. And within about 2 weeks, they decided that where they repaired the artery, it wasn't getting the right blood flow, and they actually had to end up amputating from the knee down, right below the knee. So she went through that surgery, which was probably around the 5th or 6th surgery at that point. And then just this past week, on Friday, we actually learned of, as Thursday last week, that it still was not, the blood flow wasn't the way it needed to be, and she got a bad infection, and that was starting to affect other parts of her body, organs, and high fevers. So they decided at that point, that last Friday, they actually amputated from the thigh down. So she's actually, moving towards recovery, we pray, and another miracle, that she's still, with us, and that we get to visit with her and sit and talk. And, it's amazing that through all of this, the one statement that she keeps telling us is that God's got this.
Yeah.
And knowing Marcy the little bit that I do, I told Sarah this, that knowing her, she would have given more for each one of those kids.
Oh, absolutely.
It's terrible that it has come to this, and she's lost most of her leg, but she would have given everything for those kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the comment that was one of the teachers that was kind of helping her. She kept saying, take care of these babies, get these babies out of here. She kept trying to, she was so worried about, she was still trapped under the
She
car.
was directing them to.
And she was still directing them to
kids they
take
couldn't-
care of these
yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
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 And it just. So how fast did they think the car was going?
We haven't been
That's
given
the
an
main-
official. There's investigators have come, and they've kind of got their little way of measuring. As best we can tell, anywhere from 35 to 40 miles an hour when it actually hit the building.
And that is moving. I
Yeah.
mean, that's
with no break.
You can't even
with no
drive.
brake on, gas
Like,
still
just
on.
to put it in perspective, when you go through a neighborhood, it's
Yeah.
25 miles an hour,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that is almost
Yeah.
not quite double that speed.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, for as bad as it was for Marcy,
Yeah.
I mean, just to be able to come out and say, "Hey, we had nobody die,"
Yeah,
Right.
there's something else going on there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
sure.
And 'cause,
Absolutely.
I mean, you come into a building at 40 miles an hour, 35, even if it was 35.
And take
I
a
mean,
direct hit. I mean,
When Dave called me back and said, "Yeah, somebody drove in there," I thought, "Oh no, what is he
yeah.
going to see when he gets there?"
Yeah.
And just so scary. And as you guys know, I kind of told y'all before, we went from good neighbor to undivided, and we've been trying to do a lot of that on Midweek Motivation. So can you guys kind of talk about how the community reached out to you guys to help?
Yeah.
I know another church reached out to help you guys.
So later that afternoon, same afternoon of the wreck, we were kind of in the building and processing and seeing all of, what's next. Like, what do we do? How do we fix this? And I remember she was standing in the hall, just kind of having a breakdown moment, and we were all kind of gathering around. And this guy came up into the building behind us, and he was like, I don't remember what he said. I think John, maybe.
Pastor John.
And he
Yeah.
said, I'm one of the pastors down at Rainbow Forest Baptist Church, and we just wanted to come by and express how sorry we are this happened, but we want to offer any way we can help. And they had already kind of talked, I guess, together and made a plan for where we could bring our whole center and be. So we talked about it very briefly, but we were like, yes, that sounds awesome. And I think that night, 7:30 that night, we all met up at the youth center on the hillside behind the main church. And it was 7 classrooms, which is exactly what we have. A full kitchen, a full area for really recreational play. It was exactly the space we needed. And all we would have to do is get our belongings that we could take there. So we were, at that point we were on a mission. We were we're going to do this. And unfortunately, through red tape with, things, county codes, this, that, and another, it didn't work out for us to go, but it still was an option for us. And I felt like even though we didn't go, it got our feet were going in the right direction to where we needed to. It still gave us this is okay. No, that can't happen. But
to other
this can.
ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at now. We're probably within days of being able to open our doors back up to the majority of our care for birth through pre-K, and then even our local school right down the road from us, Colonial Elementary, opened up their doors, and they're housing our after schoolers right now. We provide the teachers, but they're giving us the space to use. So like you said, the community has just came together. We have a trailer. I think it was the Saturday after, right, when we had donation. People were flooding our phones with, we have this, we have this, we have this. Take it, use it, however you need.
Right.
And so, we have a trailer full of stuff that we're going to be able to use. And some of that's came from other churches as well. We have, I think, 8 cribs that were donated
By church.
for using, I think,
Bonsack
Baptist
and Life Academy.
and Life Academy
Up on
off
Peters Creek.
Peters Creek. So,
And so many more have reached out. We've gotten donations from a few of the other centers around the area. We've been asked, how can we help? What can we move? What can we do? What can we clean? And, my answer to most of them, because you can only get so many people in one little space, and it's so many people in and out trying to do construction and this and that is just pray. Please keep everyone in your prayers, from our families to our children, to Miss Marcy, our teacher, to our staff, which some are going through a lot, the things they did that day and they experienced, and just the trauma of it all. They're processing that. So we're trying to get together as, staff and group,
Yeah.
and talk and let us know how they feel, and just they all are just praising God for how they even reacted to that day. I told them, I said, God was with you, and He led you what to do, and then I want to also thank Colonial Elementary school teachers for coming down that day.
Yeah, amazing.
They were there. I mean, within minutes of the school closing that day at 2:30, and
that was
helped.
impressive for me. I was in public education for 32 years, Roanoke City, and to see those teachers after that final bell at the elementary school band together and then come down and offer assistance to help with the parents and the kids' connection, the reconnection. It meant a lot to me. But going back to what Renee said, I'm out stretching barrier tape or perimeter tape to keep people off of the property at nighttime, because we were getting ready, we're kind of packing up, getting ready to leave out. And the pastor from Rainbow Forest came by and he said, I just wanted you to know that you guys are in our hearts, you're in our prayers, and we want to reach out to you and let you know that we're available to you in any way. And I said, well, my wife and my daughter will probably welcome that very much in the coming days. And so I said, they're in the building if you'd like to go speak with them. He said, I'd love to. So I was just, I was finishing up doing what I'm doing, and I said to myself, I'm in my thoughts. I said to myself, we've received a lot of blessings from God, and these blessings are continuing right here.
Yeah.
So and that was just mere hours after things had really kind of gone crazy.
And I know you guys we haven't talked about it, but I don't want to forget about the driver of the vehicle too.
Yeah.
I don't know if we know the cause of why it happened. It doesn't really matter. We know it wasn't impaired or anything like that, but
I did speak to her.
Fine.
Right, I did speak to her right after the accident, when they had already removed her from the car and put her in the ambulance. So I went over to the ambulance just to check on her, and she had nobody there. She was alone, and I went over and checked on her and talked to the EMS that was working on her, and I said, is she fine? And she said, yes, she's fine. Everything's okay. And she proceeded to tell me where she lived, and how old she was. And I just told her, that I would be praying for her, and that I hoped that everything was, okay, and that she would be okay at the hospital. So other than that, we really have not had any contact or heard a whole lot about, what her outcome has been or is at this point.
Wow. Well, yeah.
But we still do keep her in our prayers.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys are pretty close to partial open back up?
Yeah.
That
Getting
is
there. Yeah.
Every day we're like,
I think we just left cleaning people, floor people, ductwork cleaning people, some of our staff
is their
cleaning toys,
material.
cleaning, getting some rooms, hopefully back in check a little bit. And we're hoping by this Sunday that we'll be able to, gather everybody together and say, okay, we're ready tomorrow morning for everyone except for our after school kids, because our infant room is shut down, and will be for quite, a little bit more time because of the stuff we've had to order, the doors, windows, things like that. Everybody knows those materials are a little bit on back order. So we're having to wait on that, and we don't feel comfortable opening up with boards on the windows, and that's just not a welcoming and comforting look. And we've moved forward with some steps and trying to secure and make the building a little more for us safe in our feelings, and again, God works in mysterious ways, and I think some eyes have been opened, not just for us, but in the community as well, of buildings that could be unsafe and buildings that may not be, right or structured right. But we've ended up putting bollards in front of the building. We put 24 6-inch steel bollards in the ground, 4 inches.
So you guys know what those are, because I wouldn't have known until they told me. They're concrete poles. They're
steel concrete.
Steel
with
concrete
poured around
poles,
it,
and they're 5-6 feet in the ground, and
3
4 or
and a half,
5
4
feet,
high.
3-4 feet above the ground. So if you hit those, it's going to hurt your car, and it's not going to go any further.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yeah.
So that's very cool. So what we did for you guys is typically we'd bring it out here and give it to you, but we have a basket here for you guys, and it is huge, and I don't know how we would get it over here, but we have a basket they put together for you guys and the staff
Thank you.
at the Blue Ridge location, just to let them know that we're thinking about them and praying for you guys.
We appreciate that. We continue our prayers, and we accept prayers in return. So it's just
especially Monday over that reopening, if that does work out, just be in prayer over that.
Yeah.
Sure.
and I want to keep our parents in our prayers. I mean, these parents have, even though their children may not have been involved directly with this, they've really gone through a lot, and it's been a trying time for them as well. You being a parent,
I'm one of them. Yeah,
you know
that
exactly.
first week was pretty rough, staying home with all of them, but
open back
for
up.
more reasons.
Well, I mean, I think it's because you said October 10th, right?
Yeah.
And we're November 1st, so we're less than a month. And you guys are opening back up.
More than you
That
could
is-
ever ask for.
That is incredible.
And I think the planets have been realigned.
Yeah.
And I think you three especially, are owed a huge debt of gratitude, pat on the back, just for your resilience and determination to get it back open and to make it a safer place for the kids to go in the community.
Yeah.
And I don't think that needs to be overshadowed by everything else that happened.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
We appreciate that.
well, that about does our time here. I know our midweek audience very, very much will be praying for you guys. I can say that.
Thank you.
I know that, I know that they will. I can say that confidently. So, Cody, would you like to close us out in prayer?
Sure.
All right.
Father, we thank you for the dozens and dozens of miracles that have surrounded this family and this business the last 3 weeks or so. We know it's only by you that we weren't devastated by this situation even more. Your hand was all over the staff, the kids, the babies in that moment, and we want to recognize that as often as we can. We know you were in that room, in that building, protecting all of our loved ones, and we thank you for it. Father, just be with Children's Nest as they reopen. Look after all the staff. We know that they have had a traumatic experience from this, but let them lean on you in this time of need. And we just thank you again and again for keeping everybody safe and returning them back to their family. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you guys so much. This has been another episode of Midweek Motivations, real conversations with real people about a very real God. We'll see you guys next week.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John, Brandon, Cody, Carly, they're coming in to keep you motivated all week. New episode, same time every week. Don't gotta wait long for the next one to release. So don't go away, sit down, take a seat, enjoy Midweek Motivation with John and Carly. Hey,
Midweek Motivation.
let's go! 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, when you're feeling down and motivated in the midweek, we got the guys here to make your life complete. Little John,